The tradition of celebrating New Year's Eve within a Disney park began with a modest yet historic event on December 31st, 1957 in Disneyland. Today, this has developed into a multi-park, multi-resort event. This first New Year's Eve gala marked a pivotal moment in the park's history, and it has today become one of the most anticipated annual celebrations, drawing in millions of visitors over the decades. From its humble beginnings to its current status as one of the most significant events within the Disney park's calendar, today I wanted to explore the little-known history of the US Disney Parks New Year's celebrations. The very first New Year's Eve celebration occurred at Disneyland 2 years after the park first opened. 1957 saw 7,500 guests attend the park for $3.95 each, about $45 adjusted for inflation today. The celebration was designed to appeal to the local community, and it proved to be an overwhelming success. The 1957 New Year's Eve Gala offered unrestricted access to all the park's attractions, a very special offering as the park was utilizing the e-ticket system back then, meaning guests had to pay to ride each attraction individually. There was also live musical entertainment at various locations throughout the park, and complimentary party favors such as hats, whistles, and bells. The event also marked a significant milestone for Disneyland, as Lee Wolfenden from Phoenix, Arizona became the 10 millionth guest to enter the park. This first New Year's Eve party offered an extended evening running from 8 p.m. until 2 a.m. and set the tone for the many grand celebrations that would follow. As this first event was such a success, it was no surprise to see it return in 1958. This second year of the event would incorporate the newly added first ever Disneyland fireworks show, Fantasy in the Sky. Since then, just like at many New Year's events all over the world, fireworks have become an integral part of the New Year's Eve festivities at Disneyland. The early 1960s saw further expansion of the event, particularly following the park's significant 1959 expansion, which included the addition of new rides like the Matterhorn bobsleds and the monorail, which Walt of course wanted to celebrate. In 1960, the event grew to accommodate tens of thousands of guests, and by 1962, new dining venues were added to enhance the celebration. The new Tahitian Terrace offered impressive dinner shows that became a staple of the New Year's Eve party, and the Golden Horse Show also began to include performances of its famous stage revue during the New Year's Gala. By 1966, Disneyland's New Year's Eve firework display underwent a significant upgrade. The park introduced new technology that synchronized fireworks with music for the very first time. Plus, just for the New Year's Eve show, Fantasy in the Sky was expanded to include a countdown and the iconic song Auld Lang Syne. In 1967, Disneyland Records released an LP sponsored by Pepsi, called New Year's Eve at Disneyland, featuring recordings of the live music played all around the park during this celebration. In 1970, Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle was adorned with huge banners and a giant Mickey Mouse clock. Over the years, ticket prices increased, costing $12 by 1979. More and more entertainment was added all around the park, and there were even a few celebrity musicians featured over the years. While the Disneyland New Year's celebration continued to grow and evolve, the Walt Disney Company turned their focus to bringing this now traditional celebration to their brand new resort, Walt Disney World. In 1971, for its very first New Year's Eve, the Magic Kingdom held the Magic Kingdom New Year's Eve party. Tickets, which included admission, entertainment, hats, and noisemakers, were $7.50 in advance and $9 on the night of the party. The Fantasy in the Sky fireworks show was brought over from Disneyland and is still a part of the celebration to this day. In-park entertainment for the party was provided by Tommy Roe and the band leader Bob Crosby. There was also an event at the Contemporary Hotel which featured singer Patti Page. The park was open until 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve. With the large scale of Walt Disney World, it's no surprise that many of the resort hotels too got involved in the New Year's Eve festivities. The Polynesian, Contemporary, and later the Grand Floridian have all offered paid ticketed galas over the years. Even the Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue got in on the action in the 1970s. A very fun way to ring in the new year, I'm sure. The New Year's Eve events on both coasts continued to grow in tandem with each other, both facing the same concerns when Disney decided to remove the e-ticket system in the early 1980s. The all-inclusive admission fee meant the New Year's Eve party ticket might be far less desirable, as it now simply offered the same access to all attractions as a normal day ticket. Thankfully, these fears proved false, and both New Year's celebrations continued to attract thousands of guests. By 1984, the annual pass had been introduced, and with this, the New Year's event stopped being an extra ticketed offering, and was instead just included with day admission. It's at this point that things become a little harder to track down. With the opening of multiple new parks at Walt Disney World, multiple New Year's Eve offerings have been added. But at exactly what point is not quite clear. Epcot, which opened in 1982, has documented proof of New Year's parties from 1993 onwards, and then MGM Studios, which opened in 1989, has proof from 1994 onwards. I'd make the guess that these parties began pretty early into both of the parks' lives, but would love anyone to let me know in the comments if they can recall exactly when the New Year's Eve parties began to be celebrated at both of these parks. Animal Kingdom, which opened much later in 1998, does not have clear documentation from its first New Year, but the same is thankfully not true of 1999, which is expectedly extensively well documented. The year 2000 marked a significant milestone in both the history of Disney and its New Year's Eve celebrations. As fears of the Y2K bug loomed, Disneyland was the only Southern Californian theme park to operate its rides past midnight. A bold decision that paid off as the park successfully rang in the new millennium without an incident. Disneyland placed a large digital countdown upon Sleeping Beauty's castle. Walt Disney World took the turn of the century very seriously, kicking off a year-long celebration this new year. On December 31st, 1999, so many guests flocked to the Walt Disney World Resort that capacity restrictions were enforced at Epcot by 7:49 AM, Magic Kingdom by 12:40 PM, and Disney's MGM Studios by 1:34 PM. Magic Kingdom hosted a family-friendly celebration with a non-alcoholic atmosphere. Highlights included 2 performances at the Main Street Electrical Light Parade, as well as DJ dance parties in every major land of the park. For families with younger children who might not have made it till midnight, the Fantasy in the Sky fireworks lit up Cinderella's castle sky at 8:30 PM as well as midnight. Then the party through the decades was held at Disney's MGM Studios, with themed parties throughout the park, where guests could swing to the 40s, rock and roll to the 50s and 60s hits, and dance to the 70s disco beat. At Epcot, guests could experience Tapestry of Nations, the moving spectacle around World Showcase Lagoon, followed by a dazzling, enhanced version of Illumination's 2000 Reflections of Earth, the park's brand new nighttime spectacular. This cultural celebration continued in Millennium Village, while the innovative Innoventions Pavilion invited guests to explore groundbreaking technologies. Guests could also commemorate the occasion by purchasing a Leave a Legacy, which gave them the chance to preserve their image on granite monoliths. Animal Kingdom, the resort's newest park, offered the least amount of entertainment with just a few DJ parties, a fact that has held true ever since, as the presence of many animals understandably limits the amount of noise that it's okay for the park to create long into the night. But unlike most years since, Animal Kingdom did actually stay open until after midnight for this very important year. As the clock struck midnight, Walt Disney World Resort operations, including monorails, communications, and theme park attractions, were happy to report that they were free of any Y2K related issues. Although not a park, Downtown Disney often offered ticketed events over the years, and in 1999, a special street party was put on at the shopping and dining district, then known as Pleasure Island. Even the Atlantic Dance at Disney's Boardwalk hosted a sold-out party with a 5-course gourmet meal and live music, all set in a swing-era atmosphere. Similar parties have since been held, offering a more sophisticated alternative for those who don't want to brave the busy parks. Then, 2001 was the year the Disneyland Resort opened up its second park, California Adventure. A complex piece of Disney history in its own right, this park did, despite all its failings, celebrate the new year its very first year. Since then, the event, like the park, has grown in size and quality, incorporating the incredibly popular World of Color into its midnight fireworks show when this debuted in 2010. Throughout the 2000s, it has become the norm for every Disney park in the US to host its own New Year's Eve party. Magic Kingdom celebrates with dance parties and a fireworks show, which is so popular that starting in 2014, they now hold this event on both the 30th and the 31st, just to give more people an opportunity to enjoy this always full celebration and its special fireworks show. Epcot turns club-like with DJs all over, a silent disco, and its own special fireworks show. Then Hollywood Studios tends to have just one DJ and its own New Year fireworks show. Animal Kingdom has typically had a few dance parties throughout the day, but usually closes before midnight. Save for in 2019, when a pin trading New Year's event kept the park open into the new year. Even the now closed Disney Quest hosted a special ticketed New Year's Eve event in the 2010s, featuring access to all Disney Quest attractions, meet and greets with Disney characters, DJ dance parties, and a New Year's Eve countdown complete with a confetti drop to kick off the new year. Then, over in Anaheim, Disneyland and California Adventure both host parties with special fireworks shows at midnight and music all over the parks. Today, special dining options and dessert parties have also become staples of these events, offering a paid extra way to make the night a little more special. Sadly, in 2020, no Disney park in the US stayed open until midnight, but thankfully the celebrations made a successful return in 2021 and show no signs of going anywhere anytime soon. This year, Disneyland, California Adventure, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot will all be open to ring in the new year as usual. We've only ever tried Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and would recommend the former for those with kids and the latter for those over 21. We'll be partying around the World Showcase again this year, which is by far our favourite way to start a new year. Although this video is only focusing on the US parks, it is worth mentioning that New Year's Eve is also celebrated at the international parks. Disneyland Paris has offered a special ticketed event in the past, something we got to enjoy in 2018. And as long-time attendees of this park, we really enjoyed the parade, which included all the old parade floats from the park's various parades over the years, something which was incredibly nostalgic for us to see. Tokyo Disney Resort also typically kick off the new year with a fireworks show, and this year they're kicking off a 2-week New Year celebration running from January the 1st until the 13th. Then Shanghai and Hong Kong usually focus more on Lunar New Year, something you can too celebrate at Disney's California Adventure these days, but they do also usually put on a special fireworks show on the 31st of December to kick off the new year. So, have you ever rung in the new year at a Disney park? If so, which year and which park? Also, please let us know if anyone has any memories of those less well documented New Year's Eve parties in the 1980s and 90s. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos and the links in the description, and Happy New Year to everyone.